Welcome back, students. I want to go over absolute and incremental coordinates with you. It is critical to have a good understanding of this before you can start writing CNC programs, because the coordinates is what controls your toolpath. You're going from one point to another, okay? So here you go. I have drawn this grid over here to the left, and I have the y-axis and I have the x-axis, and I have this point. This is the origin, 0, 0. Very much like what you probably did in the math class in middle school, okay? But it's critical to have a good understanding of this when writing CNC programs. Now, I'm going to go over absolute programming and incremental. Absolute programming is G90 and incremental program is G91. That's the G codes for using absolute and incremental coordinate. One more time. G90 is absolute and G91 is incremental. Now, let's say we're going to program using absolute coordinates. So P is the point, and these are the X and Y values. So let's look at point 1. Here's point 1. And each one of these little rectangles is a 0.25 by 0.25 square. Okay? So let's look at this grid, and we'll work our way around this object here. It's L-shaped, and you can pretend that you're machining out this L shape on a CNC milling machine, for example. Okay? And your tool path is P1 to P2, P2 to P3, P3 to P4, P4 to P5, P5 to P6, and then you come back to P1, and then basically you're off to the home position. I probably should have put that down here, but that's okay. You would just return back to the P1 position to complete your milling. So let's look at all these points. We have to make sure we understand the difference between absolute and incremental. So let's look at absolute first. If this is the origin, to get to point 1, you have to go 0.25 in the X, right? And then 0.25 in the Y. That puts us right here. All right, we're at point 1. How do we get from point 1 to point 2? Well, we have to go 1.75 in the X and 0.25 in the Y. And where does the 1.75 come from? It's based on the origin. So if you count these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 times 0.25 is going to be 1.75. So 0.2 is 1.75 in the X and 0.25 in the Y. And again, this is very much like what you did in a math course, probably in middle school or even high school. Okay? Now, we're right here. We want to go from 0.2 to 0.3. All right, so we have to know where 0.3 is. Well, 0.3 is also 1.75 in the X and 0.75 in the Y. All right? So again, it's all based on the origin. Now we're going from 0.3 to 0.4. Well, 0.4 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units in the X, which is going to be 1.25, and it's going to be 1, 2, 3 in the Y, which is 0.75. So we're at 0.4. We're going to 0.5 next, which would be what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Also 1.25 in the X and 0.5 in the Y. We're right here. Okay. Now we need to go back to 0.6. Well, 0.6 is going to be 0.25 in the X and 0.5 in the Y. Now, if we were going to go back to point 1 again, which we would have to do in order to get back to our starting point, we would simply just put 0.25 again and then 0.25 in the Y. That would bring us back to this point. So basically you have machined all the way around this L shape here. All right, now that's the absolute. Everything is based on the origin. What about incremental? All right, so point 1 is a little bit different. You may not have seen something like this before, so you got to pay attention to this. You've seen this before. You probably have not seen this before. Okay, so point 1 is going to be 0.25 in the x, just like before, and 0.25 in the y. Now, to get to point 2, we're going to go 1 from here to here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 times 0.25 is 1.5. So we go 1.5 in the x, but we don't go in the y direction at all. We just go in the x. Now we're right here. We want to go to 0.3, right? We're not going to go any more in the x, so that's 0, but we're going to go up 0.5 in the y. Now we're right here. We want to get to 0.4, so that would be a negative. You're going to go negative 0.5 in the x direction, and you're not changing the y direction. So it's just negative 0.5. You're right here. You're going to go to 0.5 next. You're going to go 0 in the x and negative 0.25 in the y. So you're right here now, and you want to get to 0.6. You're going to go negative 1, because 1, 2, 3, 4 times 0.25 is 1 inch, right? So you're back here at negative 1, 0. Now, if you want to get back to here again, you're just going to go negative 0 in the x, because you're not changing in the x direction, but you're changing in the y direction a negative 0.25. And then you go back to your home position. So again, it's critical that you understand both of these programming, or at least when you're writing a computer program or a CNC program, you need to understand the difference between absolute and incremental. Sometimes it's advantageous to do absolute. Sometimes it's better to use incremental. It just depends. It's really a preference also. You may have a preference. Sometimes it's easier to do incremental. In my opinion, it is a lot of times. All right, so again, this is the Cartesian coordinate system. You need to have a very strong foundation with this. And then you go on to how do you include the Cartesian coordinates within the program itself. And that we'll do that in later modules. So thank you for your time and have a good day.